Hello and welcome to For The Drive. If you guys remember back, literally just over a year ago, I did the first ever episode of Friends of For The Drive with Chris and Georgina, which are actually standing right behind me, with their 100 horsepower Pandas, which for the money are a hell of a lot of fun. But in just over a year, a hell of a lot has changed because they now own 4 cars between them. And we're going to spend this video taking a look at them all. So I am now here with Chris and we're going to look through his 2. Let's start with the Abarth 595 Turismo, because I keep getting it wrong, almost calling it Competizione, but it's not. No. So let's talk about why you bought it, okay? Because I'm curious as to why you went for this particular one.
Well, I wanted a power increase.
You need to be on film.
Well, I wanted a power increase, and you couldn't really do much to the Panda. It's quite difficult. It's quite expensive to do anything to it, and sticking Italian. Well, I always.
And obviously with the updated system from the Panda, like the Abarth, like even if it's a Fiat 500 chassis, it's still going to be more updated than the old Panda. So yeah, definitely. I mean, why did you go for this? Because obviously this is quite an interesting colour.
Yeah.
It's quite unique. I've not really seen any other ones with the white pinstripe two-tone, really.
Yeah. Well, it was one of those love at first sight sort of things. You see it and you're like, well, I haven't seen that. I've got to have that.
Yeah.
When you saw every other one, you were like, no, it's just this one. Lovely red leather interior, which,
Thank you, biker.
which is quite bold, but it kind of matches the paint.
I quite like the colour scheme actually, because you say it's quite standout, quite bold and quite unique.
Yeah.
It does sound quite nice. I have actually been driving this from basically the bottom of this beautiful mountain, which is right behind. It's just madness how good this looks. I really do like the tone.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree that I think you need to take some sort of silencing out.
Yeah, I need to take the silencer off. It's meant to be straight pipe from standard, but this is the Miltech exhaust, and it doesn't need silencers.
No.
There's a few things I just had to change on this, and I think you might notice if you know your Abarth is the rear lights.
Okay. Yes, of course.
It came with chrome around the edge. I went for this one because this was off another model. I can't remember which one. I think it might be like a US spec or something. I'm not really sure because you don't see many with this around.
No.
So little touches around like the Italian stripe on the spoiler, the badge overlays, all personal to the colour of the car. So
yeah.
I want this gone because I know it's a 500, but at least put 595 on there.
Yes, that's always been my biggest thing with the Abarth range, is that they still haven't taken away. Just make it blank.
Yeah, even blank.
If you're not going to make it 595, 695, whatever, just make it blank. Same with the interior.
Yeah.
Just take it away. Just give me a flat panel, and then you can decal it as you like. But I think let's move on to the more of the interesting, more unusual car choices that you've picked up. So come on, I know nothing about this. I have to say, like, literally until you said to me that you picked one up, I literally had no idea what it was. So talk me through this.
I have been after a classic for a while. That's Georgina's fault because she's gone and got a classic, and you drive it and you realise how involving it is. You really appreciate it, changing through the gears, everything, all the brakes. You're just a part of the car. Yeah. And I was looking at Pandas for a while, but I thought, well, no, I want something a bit different, maybe. And we went to Auto Italia, and this one was actually for sale there.
Oh right, okay.
It looked pretty good. It's low mileage. It was only about 49,000 miles on the clock, which is really low for a 30-year-old car.
I was going to say, that's incredible. I mean, you can't buy new cars sometimes.
No.
Like, a year-old can have that kind of mileage, so that's incredible.
And I had a good look around, and they got brilliant reviews, as my cheesy stickers.
Obviously, we can't quite see by the badge, it's an Uno 45. What engine, what kind of horsepower was it quoted at new?
Well, it was 45, hence the name. It's a 999cc engine, or just a 1 litre for people. Okay. It's a Fiat fire engine, which is also Lancia part built.
Yeah.
It's just the condition of it. It's pretty good condition for a 30-year-old car. I mean, it was meant to be going to a scrapyard, I believe.
Oh, really?
So it was
so you saved it. Well done. But it does. I mean, it takes me back to literally when I was, as old. Yeah. To sit in the back of a car.
The thing that's rather special about this as well is they sort of went off the usual sort of protocol, and instead of having stalks for everything, they dropped it. Like, the horn is the only thing on a stalk, and the indicator. All the lights and everything are controlled via a little
little toggle
Cluster,
switch,
left
yeah.
and toggles, and you flash like that, and all
Oh,
that
wow,
stuff.
okay.
Well, it's not the flash on that side, but
Yeah. That's crazy. We went to the Prescott Hill Climb not long ago with these, with both the classics, and the amount of people that came up and said, "I had one of these."
It took me about 3 hours to walk anywhere.
Yeah,
It kept stopping me.
the amount of people that just came up with them. I was talking to both about. There was a couple of other really classic pandas as well, and there were always people coming up. So I had one of those as a kid, and you could see the nostalgia through their eyes. So I think these are really cool. So we've now come over to the other side of this collection, and I'm now with Georgina. I am very curious because a lot of people talk about the Fiat and the Abarth, kind of like the battle between the two, which one you go for, and obviously you've gone for the Fiat 124 Spider. So I'm curious, I really want to know why you picked this over the Abarth.
So I chose the Fiat one because I actually prefer the looks. So I think this looks more classy, which I think suits the old Fiat more, so it's kind of more to it. The Abarth, there's a lot of plastic here, and I kind of prefer it with all the metal without the plastic.
Okay.
I think it's more classy.
Yeah.
And you don't see them as much, because I think a lot of people will think, oh, for an extra X amount I can buy an Abarth. It's got proper presence to it, which I think is really good.
It looks, I must admit, with the front lights and the rear light, the design, even though they're still trying to pick up the original 124 kind of design, it looks quite slightly aggressive.
Yeah.
And Fiats aren't normally aggressive. I know for a fact that you have actually modified this ever so slightly. So run through what you've actually done.
So little things cosmetically. These are now carbon on the lights.
Oh wow, I didn't even notice
fiber.
that. Oh wow, that looks, let's hopefully get this in focus, because that looks really, really nice.
It's a good touch, because obviously you've got the metallic paint, and when these pop in the sun they look really good. Red brake calipers, I did them myself, and I think they look good.
Oh wow, yeah.
Silver wing mirrors, because they came with black.
Oh, you did those as well?
Yeah,
oh,
all
okay.
Expensive, because it's new. But the main changes, stage 1 remap, firstly, and literally in the last week,
that actually
she's had the
really nice.
Euro Compulsion V4 air intake fitted.
Oh, what, sorry?
It's by a company called Euro Compulsion, who are based in the US.
Oh, right, okay.
They do 3, they do a V1, V2, and this is the biggest one, they do the V4.
Oh wow. So
really
what do you
nice
reckon
touch.
with the remap in the air, what do you actually reckon you're running?
I never managed to get it on a dyno, because I wanted to be one of the first to try and get it out on remap.
So this is basically a bit of a guinea pig.
Yeah, he said he'd like to hope it's an increase of up to 180 brake horsepower.
From what was the...
From 140.
Okay, that's pretty
and
good
then
increase.
about an extra 60 torque.
Nice.
I can't remember the torque figure off the top of my head on this.
No.
And then that is meant to be an extra 20 to 25 horsepower, and again additional torque.
To be fair, from 140 brake, if everything goes well, you reckon you're pushing... Optimistically, obviously I know you say you haven't had a dyno, so there's obviously a lot of contention. A lot of people go, well, until you prove it. I know, because I've had so much of that.
Yeah.
But, you know, potentially over 200 brake, 210. Are you going to get an exhaust? Because good.
100%.
Because I mean, having the extra power is obviously like a sleeper is very. A lot of people love having that kind of sleeper effect. But something having a little bit of a noise, a little bit of a tone, something to me.
The intake's good for now. That makes a lovely noise to the turbo, which is really helping it. Messaged Infinity Exhaust based in Bristol.
Okay.
About having just a full custom system.
Nice.
Because every exhaust I look at, there's a part of it which I don't like. So maybe when it's revving, maybe when it's driving, maybe when it's a cold start, and I want it to be exactly what I want on this.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Because this I'm going to keep.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? We're going to keep that one.
I said that about. Oh no, I'm keeping that.
Keeping everything.
I said that about the Panda last year though.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's gone now.
Well, I think actually that's a perfect time to move on to the famous, because only 4 days ago, this featured on the One Show as part of their owning old cars?
Like owning a classic car thing.
Owning a classic car thing, which was fantastic. I watched it several times actually, because I was showing other people that I knew. I was like, look, I'm filming that on Sunday. The famous Betty that is it Mark 1? 2. Mark 2, beg your pardon. Mark 2 Fiat Panda. So let's talk about that for a second.
It popped up. I always said, as a joke, if I have the spare money, I'm going to buy an old Panda. Yeah. And this popped up 10 minutes down the road from me. Price I couldn't ignore it for, and I thought, well, I can buy that and I can sell it on. Yeah. Yeah. I never see myself selling this car now. No, I must admit, as we were talking about with Chris in the Uno, it does have so much presence. Yeah. Even though it's such a small, in grand scheme of things, especially with modern day cars, it's unimpressive in terms of performance. Yeah. But
the amount of times that I've seen people turn their heads, and the few times that I've seen this out at events and on the road, the amount of people that I just see that love this car, because you obviously modded a fair amount on this, you've done some bits and pieces.
I have, yeah.
And you've still got more to do, so let's quickly run just through some of the bits and pieces you've done and what you're planning on doing.
Okay, so this is the newest thing I've done. She's got a splitter on the front.
Oh yeah.
That's actually off a Mark II Golf, which is why it doesn't fit perfectly. Someone on the Panda page had it, they tried to fit it, they said they didn't look great on theirs, but I think it really helps with the front, the presence on the car.
Yeah.
It does make it look a bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
Then got the Italian stripe. I got the bonnet scoop a while ago, which I think looks much better than it does when it's just a flat bonnet.
Yes.
But the stripe was just something I thought, in the meantime, obviously it does need to go in for a respray at some point.
Yeah.
But I thought, in the meantime, I think that stripe really helps the car. And honestly, it's probably something I'll put back on once it's back.
Yeah.
We had the clear indicators. Again, I think that looks much nicer because they come with the orange normally. Wheels. That was...
Are they actually off a Panda?
No, they are off a Cinquecento Sporting.
Oh right, okay. But they fit. They actually, seeing both these cars driving along, you see that, and because they're slightly wider, because they're alloys, they're not so skinny. It does actually it does look a bit more planted. Doesn't look so terrifying around corners, which is quite pleasant when you're having to drive a car, go around a corner. You don't really want to feel like you're going to die because the tyres are just like that thin. No. But I must admit, I quite like them in white as well.
Yeah, well, obviously they're bigger tyres, so especially if you look at the ones from the front, they stick right out of the arch, which I quite like.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we put them in white with the stripe, so it all got done in one.
Right, yeah.
And we've only just got the centre caps as well, which are actually off a 169, so a Mark III Panda. That they fitted straight on, which was great.
Oh, awesome. The doors are being replaced because they both sadly got a bit of rust, but as we say, it's a very 30-year-old car, so...
Yeah, I taped it all up for now.
Yes.
Because obviously it's properly going, so it's counted as a sharp edge on MOT.
Right, yes, of course.
I have got replacement doors, so one's purple, one's blue. And I've got a bonnet as well, the bonnet's white.
Okay.
So it's got a show coming up in like the next 3 weeks again, and I don't want to put all the panels on. But yeah, the full car's going to go in for a respray. So I'm going to get all the rust done, all the panels replaced, and then it's going to get fully resprayed as well. So
I think it's time to actually go for a spin in these cars. I think I'm going to jump into the Abarth first, as I'm most familiar with it. Go for a bath. Go for a bath? Go for a bath, yeah, sure, why not? Go for a drive in the Abarth and give you my opinion. So I'll see you guys in a sec. So I am now in the 595 Turismo. Immediately, it is it's a nice place to be. It's quite sporty, like feel, the way that they've designed it, and it's, I must admit, the Abarth badge is just a nice design. So still definitely built from the 500, as we all know, so there is a bit of the climate control system. It's still very much the same from the 500, but this has obviously quite a little bit stiffer suspension, but it definitely wants to go. But the steering wheel won't come out, it only has up and down movement. So if you're not the perfect shape or size, that can be a little bit annoying, but as we said earlier, the exhaust could be louder, and I would definitely enjoy a bit more noise coming from the back end of this car, because it certainly makes you feel like you're in quite a sporty car. And yeah, the suspension on like potholes, because it's a little bit stiff, because it's a short, like tall, narrow car, you do feel some of the bigger bumps quite a lot, but quite nice to drive. Quite a bit different to what I'm used to, because it's like half the size. See, bumps, short with a quite stiff suspension, but you get used to it. And if you've picked this car because you want it, then you're kind of going knowing that. Really, I mean, it wants to make some noise, but I think there's two silencers on it, and one of them could definitely go. turbo kicks in, it really wants to pull. I'm probably going to love all 4 of these cars, but I think especially as a trade up from the 100 horsepower Panda, I don't know if I can think of much better. This is very strange, quite upright. This steering wheel is so thin. This is so, I don't know, this is such a treat. This is crazy how unusual this feels. Like, although there's a huge amount of cabin space around, like for the dash and things like that, the steering wheel is super close to you. Oh, the brakes are not as powerful as the Abarth. This is a lot of fun, but also, like, I mean, the steering is very rudimentary is probably the best one, and it's, you know, it's not as direct as modern cars by any stretch of the imagination. It's only a 4-gear gearbox, so I'm, you know, even going from a 5-gear gearbox, and there's no rev meter, there's nothing to tell you what you're doing. The speedo actually wobbles. Oh, wrong gear, see, because the gearbox has a little bit of a mind of its own. Put it into 4th by accident and meant 2nd, but I've got the biggest smile on my face. I've probably said it about 4 million times, but this is so much fun. A lot more fun than I was expecting. The ride is actually quite comfortable. Like, the seats are sort of, like, quite soft. They soak up a lot of things. I mean, I wouldn't say they're the best upholstering. Like, if you went around the corner hard, not only would I think that the car would just come off the side of the road, I think you would come off the edge of the seat. The engine is definitely back as basic as you can get, but that's what you get. There's no hidden gem or even a hidden problem of what you might have to deal with, things like that. You've just got all 45, if you're lucky, brake horsepower at all times. So I'm now in the Panda, and already quite a bit of a different feel to how it's set up. The clutch biting point is so high up. It's basically total opposite to the Uno. You sit quite a bit further down, I feel, compared to the Uno, but this has actually quite a little bit more go in it. Brakes are still very heavy, and the steering is still quite loose. I mean, this feels a little bit more planted because it's got slightly wider wheels, but apart from that, the clutch is a lot harder to get used to, I must admit. The Uno is a little bit easier to drive, only because the clutch is a lower biting point, and for me, that's what I'm used to in terms of when I have to drive a manual car. Go around corners is a little hairier. You probably see me, my face kind of like, oh, because like you're just going around and going around. You have to turn more and more onto the steering wheel, and I'm obviously fearful that something is gonna go horribly wrong. Same again with the Uno, really. You know, what you see is what you get with a car like this. The power's not phenomenal. It's not going to win any awards. It's not going to set any records on fire, but it is so much fun. I almost say that, like, you can't be a true petrolhead until you've owned something like this. I would actually say applies, because you really do get the sense of true motoring. It's crazy how different this feels. Like, the clutch, it's got quite a lot of spring to it,
yeah,
whereas both the old ones are really not. They don't have any sort of spring to them. Because that's quite nice, usable though.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on brakes. Oh. I mean, these seats are really good, actually.
Yeah.
Quite like, nice amount of bolstering, but I'm not being like suffocated, and the ride comfort. I must admit, because I've never, literally, this is the first time I've ever been in anything like this. I was expecting to be a bit like, it would be a bit like the others.
Yeah.
It was a bit wallowy, a little bit soft, because like it's still you know, it's, at the end of the day, it's still a Fiat. It's still supposed to be a very affordable car, so they can't start spending too much money on R&D of getting suspension systems and things like that. But this is quite planted, quite. Oh, it's certainly not stiff. I mean, the brakes are nice. It's certainly not stiff, but just like seated really well. You kind of go in, like, get into a car that you've never been in before, with a very small amount of immediate bias just by brand and by what you expect it to be.
Yeah.
And this is not at all what I thought.
Yeah.
Because, as I say, it's really, seats are nicely designed. And now, having experienced this road several times in the other 3 cars, by far this is the most comfortable. It just floats along, but you still. So the thing that's got me most surprised is that it's sitting on the floor nicely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good pickup. For a car that wasn't originally designed to do that.
No.
Really. That is a pretty good pickup. Yeah, see, with a nice exhaust, that would sound meaty as hell.
Yeah.
No, I quite like this. It's a good car. Hold on. So we have come to the end of the day. A huge thank you to Georgina and Chris for letting me experience their cars, because this has been a hell of a lot of fun. Driving the Uno and the Fiat has been a hell of a learning experience, dealing with the clutches and things, and basically going back to such a basic design of a car, but a hell of a lot of fun. The Abarth is a lot of fun, pops and bangs, and that Fiat, I must admit, I am blown away of how much better it is than my lack of knowledge of the car and the design ethos behind it. But yeah, an amazing day, so a huge thank you to you guys. But that is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.